It was supposed to be just another noisy morning at JFK Airport. Announcements echoed from every corner. Suitcases rolled. Kids cried. People rushed past one another, chasing flights, chasing time. But in all that chaos, one pair of eyes never blinked. Officer Ryan Keller and his K-9 partner, Shadow, had seen it all, from suspicious packages to lost passports. Every day was the same routine. Walk, watch, repeat. Until that day, Shadow froze. No bark, no movement, just stillness, sharp and alert. His nose lifted, catching something Ryan couldn't see. Ryan tugged the leash. "What is it, boy?" But Shadow didn't budge. His fur bristled, eyes locked on something ahead. Ryan followed his gaze through the crowd and saw a little girl, maybe 7 years old, holding the hand of a woman in a bright blue coat. At first it looked normal, a traveler and her daughter. But Ryan's gut twisted. Shadow had never been wrong before. Then Ryan noticed the girl's other hand. Small, shaking, pressed against the back of the woman's coat. Not waving, not fidgeting. It was a signal. His pulse quickened. The girl's shoulders were tense. Her lips pressed tight. Her eyes fixed on the floor, like she was too scared to even look up. Then, for half a second, she looked up, straight at Shadow. That look, desperate, pleading, was all Ryan needed to know. Something was very wrong. "All right, boy," he whispered. "Let's follow." Shadow started moving, calm, focused, his tail low, his steps quiet. The crowd moved around them, unaware of the silent chase unfolding right under their noses. The woman in blue kept walking fast, never turning back. Her grip on the girl's wrist was too tight. And now Ryan saw it. A boy, maybe 5 years old, walking beside them. His face pale, eyes empty, clutching a worn-out stuffed bear like it was his only comfort in the world. The girl pressed her hand against the coat again. Harder. A second signal. Shadow growled. A deep warning rumble that only Ryan could hear. They reached the security gate. The woman smiled too brightly, handed her papers over too quickly. The officer at the desk frowned. Something didn't add up. And then Shadow barked. One sharp, commanding bark that silenced the entire terminal. Everyone turned. The woman stiffened. The girl froze. And in that brief moment, Ryan saw it, the girl's lips moving. "Help me." Ryan's chest tightened. His hand went to his badge. "Ma'am," he said, stepping forward. "I'm going to need you to come with me." Her smile cracked. "These are my children," she said quickly, her voice trembling. But the girl flinched when she said it. Shadow barked again, louder this time, pulling the leash hard, teeth flashing. The woman's mask slipped. She snapped at Ryan, voice sharp and angry. "We have a flight to catch. You're wasting time." But Ryan didn't move. Neither did Shadow. Security officers began to close in. The crowd circled, whispering. Cameras started recording. "Ma'am," Ryan said calmly, "please step aside." The girl's hand trembled. Her brother began to cry softly, clutching his bear. Ryan gave the order. "Take them for questioning." The woman tried to resist, but the fight didn't last long. Inside a small interrogation room, the truth started to crumble. The girl sat on a chair, shaking, her small voice barely a whisper. "She's not my mom." The room went still. Ryan's throat tightened. Shadow lifted his head from the floor, watching quietly, as if he'd been waiting for those words all along. Investigators ran the woman's ID. Fake. The documents? Forged. She wasn't their mother. She was part of a trafficking ring, moving children across states with stolen papers, using busy airports as cover. Ryan clenched his fists. He'd seen a lot in his career, but this hit differently. The little girl began to cry. "I tried to tell someone," she said between sobs. "But nobody looked at me." Ryan knelt down in front of her, his voice gentle. "Someone did," he said, glancing at Shadow. "Someone saw everything." Shadow moved closer and rested his head against her knee. She smiled weakly, running her tiny fingers through his fur. For the first time that day, she wasn't afraid. Outside, The woman in blue was led away in handcuffs, still shouting, still pretending. But no one believed her anymore. The truth was out. The airport was quiet again, but the silence felt heavier, like everyone there had just witnessed something bigger than themselves. When the paperwork was done and the children were safe, Ryan sat on a bench beside Shadow. The terminal lights reflected in his partner's eyes. "You did good today, boy," he whispered, rubbing behind Shadow's ears. Shadow leaned against him, tail thumping once, slow and proud. A few minutes later, the girl ran up again, a small smile breaking through her tears. She hugged Shadow tight. "Thank you," she whispered into his fur. "You saved us." Ryan looked away for a second, fighting the lump in his throat. Because heroes, real heroes, don't always wear capes or badges. Sometimes they walk quietly on four paws, led only by instinct and heart. Days later, the news broke. Headlines everywhere. K-9 officer saves 2 missing children at JFK Airport. Ryan and Shadow became heroes overnight. But fame wasn't what mattered. What mattered was that 2 children were safe, and one brave dog trusted his heart enough to act when no one else noticed. Ryan was asked what he thought made Shadow stop that day. He smiled. "Maybe he smelled fear," he said. "Or maybe he just saw what the rest of us were too busy to see." So the next time you see a K-9 unit walking through an airport, remember, they're not just sniffing for danger. They're watching over us, protecting the ones who can't protect themselves. Because sometimes the smallest bark can save the biggest lives. If the story touched your heart, don't scroll away. Tap the subscription button to honor every hero, 2-legged or 4. Drop a comment if you've ever had a pet who changed your life. And share this story so the world never forgets the day a dog named Shadow refused to move and saved 2 innocent souls instead.